Oh, hey there. Come on in. We're just about to start. Welcome to My Wife the Dietitian, a fun weekly podcast about nutrition and healthy lifestyle. I'm Rob, and together with my wife Sandra, we invite you to join us on this informative and entertaining journey through the complex world of healthy eating.
Join us each week as we strive to help you with transforming your overall health and relationship with food through up-to-date, evidence-based nutrition information. Are you feeling like life is just so busy that it's difficult to eat in a healthy way? Do you struggle with finding yourself running from one errand to the next and forget to pack a snack or lunch? Join us today as we chat with Mindy Yoder, dietitian, who helps women to align their eating plans with their health goals.
Like I said, I really like to get to know my clients. And yeah, there might be that, initial I want to lose 50 pounds or I want to lose 100 pounds. But the more we talk, I want to move better. I want to have the freedom to move. I want to have more energy at work. I always feel bloated and I don't have energy to keep up with my kids. And, there's just all these things going on in life. And when we pause and just start talking about those kind of details and figuring out, okay, well, what are your needs? Like, what does your metabolism need and your body? And then talking about the different foods that'll fit it.
Stay with us.
Enjoying the show? You can help others find it and enjoy it too by giving us a 5-star rating or review. If you feel like reaching out to us with a question or comment, you can send us an email at mywifetherd@gmail.com. And don't forget to visit our website at mywifethedietitian.com, as well as our social media pages. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Enjoy the show. Welcome to My Wife the Dietitian. Hello, Sandra.
Hello, Rob.
How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm very well.
We're interviewing Mindy Yoder, dietitian in Buffalo, New York.
Oh, way across the country.
Yeah. And it was actually based on a listener question, which was, do you remember it? It's, I'm not great at meal planning or prepping for the week ahead, and I end up just getting food delivered or going through the drive-thru on my way home from work.
Said so many people.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's a pretty common issue.
And then the last part of the question is, do you have some ideas to help with meals that are grab and go? And is it possible to eat healthy while traveling? I have a long commute for work.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to touch on that, plus a few other things. Mindy's specializes in women's health, right? Like helping women with all sorts of different things. And so we definitely touch on those listener questions, but we also get into a few other odds and ends too. It's kind of a bit of everything.
Yeah. Mindy helps women align their nutrition with their lifestyle and health goals. And she talks about what to eat to feel better. And also we do talk about how to help clients with restaurant menus for healthier options. And she did say that, many women come to her with a goal to lose weight, or that's what they first say. Mm-hmm. And I hear this all the time too. This is so common because after further conversation and a deeper dive, they actually just want to feel better in their own bodies. And the goal evolves into gaining energy, improving digestion, and just feeling better overall.
Yeah, the weight becomes kind of a secondary concern, not a concern, but it's not the focus anymore. And when you're eating well, you end up losing weight anyway. So it's kind of a nice little perk.
Yeah, I just had a client recently that her primary reason was to lose weight, but she also wanted help with her hormones because they felt like they were kind of on a roller coaster ride and just up and down, and her moods and everything. And after a few weeks, she wrote me an email and said, guess what? My hormones are way more balanced. Thank you so much for your help. And I'm good. I don't really feel like I need to lose weight at this point, and maybe in the future, but right now I feel much better. And thanks so much for helping with the eating plan and the diet to help with balancing hormones. So it was a great example of when people are struggling with some health issue, they think it's a weight problem that they want to focus on, but it actually comes down to other things like feeling better, better digestion, balancing hormones, and just having more energy to do their day-to-day stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so often we're told that weight is the main priority and everyone needs to lose weight. We all got to diet and focus on the number on the scale. And yeah, it's refreshing to hear a different story. So that's kind of part of what today's episode is about with Mindy. We get into that. And like we mentioned before, we do get into some meal planning strategies and how to, navigate the menu in a restaurant, some ideas for commuting, that sort of thing. So real practical stuff and worth a listen for everyone.
Yeah. So stay tuned.
Absolutely. We will go track Mindy down now. We'll be right back.
Hi, Mindy. Thank you so much for joining us today. Can you tell the listeners who you are and who you help in your day-to-day work?
Yes, I sure can. My name is Mindy Yoder, and I am a women's wellness dietitian. I do practice here locally in Buffalo, New York, but I have online programs for further reach now too. Love helping women align their nutrition with their health goals and their lifestyle. Not just a eat this, eat that type style of planning, but, I love to get in and get to know what your daily lifestyle is like and travel and all the details, which I'm sure we'll talk through with this program, but have lots of fun with it.
I love that. Yeah. And I like that the fact that you were saying that so many women, like we were talking earlier, and you wrote a great blog article for the website, which I really appreciate. And it's going to be such a wealth of knowledge. But it's so cool, like you said, that many women come to you and they have a goal to lose weight. Like that's what their goal is. But then after talking with them and exploring a little bit more, it's actually not that. It's more that they want to feel better in their bodies and kind of improve digestion and gain energy and just feel better overall. Is that what you see a lot?
I do. And if you think about what our cultural messages tell us and our popular culture and fad diets, the conversation is always around weight.
Always.
Yeah. And not to dismiss that, statistically, we know that there's a lot of illness that can come along with, living in a heavier body, but that doesn't mean that you are ill or that you have to be miserable. And so through conversations over the years, like I said, I really like to get to know my clients, and that's whether you're in a group with me or one-on-one. Yeah, there might be that, initial like, yeah, I want to lose 50 pounds or I want to lose 100 pounds. But the more we talk, it's, I want to move better. I want to have the freedom to move. I want to have more energy at work. I always feel bloated and I can't go to the bathroom all the time, or I'm going all the time and I don't have energy to keep up with my kids. And, there's just all these things going on in life. And, when we pause and just start talking about those kind of details and figuring out, okay, well, what are your needs? Like, what does your metabolism need and your body? And then talking about the different foods that'll fit it. And that, like you mentioned, the blog article is, okay, some nights you can take time to prepare food in your kitchen and have fun with that. Or there's a lot of nights where you need to throw things together, or you need to grab something out the door, or we've all had those moments where we miss something and have to run in a convenience store or pull off to a rest stop. So how do you manage those moments? Because that's the reality of our life. We can't follow a cookie cutter plan or, be so rigid that we're eating the same thing day in, day out. It just doesn't work forever.
Yeah. And actually that kind of addresses a listener question that we had. The original reason that I reached out to see if you'd come on the podcast. The listener question was, I'm not great with meal planning or prepping for the week ahead, and I end up getting food delivered or going through drive-through on my way home from work. Do you have some ideas to help with meals that are grab and go? And is it possible to eat healthy while traveling with my long commutes to and from work?
It's that question and that lifestyle is more common than not. And the one thing I typically recommend to start with is taking that pause on the weekend or when you have a few extra minutes to just look forward, just the next week. I think we're all ingrained too that we have to have this great master plan that we're going to stick to forever. And again, I'm constantly saying it, like life doesn't happen that way. So just take it one day or 1 week at a time and look at what you have going the next week. And oftentimes, when I'm working with clients, we'll pull out the whiteboard and just brain dump things, or I've got some little templates with calendars and just jot down, what nights are you going to be out and about? What nights are later nights for work? What nights can you be home to cook? And that, seeing that written down and seeing it in front of you can help guide you to the food you choose then, right? So then you know that, okay, if I have enough time to cook on a Monday night, maybe I make 2 or 3 servings. Maybe I make 3, so some of it can be frozen and some can be used as a leftover the next day.
Perfect.
Oh yeah, like the cook once and eat 2 to 3 times.
I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves too to be that homemaker and to have that fresh cooked homemade meal every night. And that's great, but it's just not in our reality. And you haven't failed if you can't do that. It's just you're living your life and that's your reality. And a lot of people are afraid to admit that because they feel like they're looking like they're failing or they're making an excuse. And it's not an excuse. This is just your lifestyle. So if you're coming home late for work and you have different things, can you use like a meal delivery service like Sunbasket that offers lower sodium, healthier food options? Or, is there a local delivery service or meal planning? Do you connect with friends? Sometimes friends have just as busy schedules. I know that there's some groups around here that, they'll take turns making meals and deliver to each other's homes. So getting creative and just looking, what works best for you in that week. But, if you are hitting up a drive-through or you are hitting up some, other kind of service, I would just look at, grilled or roasted options. Are you finding options that might be lower in sodium? And it takes time to figure that out too. But, you can look at menus online. So I think the bottom line is it does take some pre-work and you can evolve with that over time.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I hear you. It's amazing how I think so many people have grown up on some sort of diet or like always watching the weight or the calories or, restrictive eating. And it's more about the value of the food and more about the quality of the overall diet and like your day-to-day living. And so instead of looking at points or calories or, diets, it's more about like what fits your lifestyle with, where can I cook? Like what days can I cook and what days can we get like a meal delivery or what can I do to like run in the grocery store at the last minute? It's kind of just, like you said, having a bit of a plan for the week ahead, but not necessarily like set in stone, like master plan. It has to be perfect because I think people like following set meal plans, they might feel like there's no room for flexibility. And then if they have that all or nothing thinking, then they might feel like, oh, I failed on Tuesday. I'm done. I guess I have to start again next week or, that kind of thing. So I like your approach where it's more just like, let's work together and kind of figure out what works for your lifestyle and what days of the week you might be able to have a bit more time in the kitchen and other days when you have no time at home, maybe you'll have leftovers those days or, that's really good because there's flexibility in there and that's really important and having those options and just, that flexibility is key, I think.
And I really like to follow intuitive eating practices and trying to help, as women are navigating all these details of life and what to eat. I love to use the messaging of what you can eat and trying to get away from whether food's good or bad or right or wrong. And, if you happen to order pizza out one night with your family and you're enjoying family time, that's what you should be celebrating is we're sitting around the table laughing and having fun and enjoying some pizza. So be it. And so, a lot of the strategy also comes from fueling through the whole day. So it's not just perfecting that dinner meal time, But do you have a good morning routine? And are you fueling up? And, as you're learning your own hunger and fullness cues through the day and feeling what it feels like to be satiated and energized through the day, that can really also help us with choosing our foods later in the day and how much we're eating and being able to close out the day feeling well, rather than, that whole mindset of, wake up early and I don't eat anything. And then I pick at some almonds through my workday, but then I'm starving by 3 or 4 o'clock. So I eat anything I could put my hand on. And then I'm driving through the drive-through. And those are the foods that seem appealing to us when we are hungry and we're tired. So that's another approach that I like to help women with, is how are you fueling through the day and preparing through the day? It's not just about having that perfect plan for dinner time.
Oh, yeah. No, that's it. Sorry.
Something that works for us, sorry, Sandra, something that works for us is just making sure we have certain staples on hand all the time so that we buy them every time we go grocery shopping. So then we know if we get one of those nights where we're home late and we got to throw something together for dinner, we know that we've got those go-to things in the pantry or the fridge that we can whip them up. And a lot of the things we do are pretty quick. So we know we've got that kind of as a backup anytime. And we've got a couple of those. So, we're covered. And the other thing I'd suggest too is having some snacks cut up and ready to go. So you've got your like carrot sticks and celery and little things in even little containers that, if you're late leaving, you just got to grab something and go. You've got those kind of ready to go snacks. And we always keep like a jar of peanuts or nuts or something, or a trail mix in the car too. So if you're stuck out late and you're hungry and, instead of hitting the drive-thru, you're like, oh, all right, I got that container of trail mix in the back. I'll snack on that till I get home. And so that's part of the planning and just having a few things that work and that you like, and just making sure you have them on hand.
Yeah. That reminds me of the Atomic Habits, James Cleary. He talks about if you want to start a healthy habit, try to make it easy, convenient, accessible, and attractive. So if you have, like, for instance, having the trail mix there available or the nuts there available, then you're more likely to grab that versus if you have like cookies on the counter or you have candy in a dish, or that's like, you're going to probably go for the easy, accessible. You're looking at it. It's going to be more attractive to, go for those, whatever's staring at you, your face.
It's hard to talk on a Friday afternoon.
Totally.
Sorry.
Or maybe you need a snack, Sandra.
That's so funny. Oh my goodness.
And I love the points that both of you made here. And I really find pause often as I'm working with clients and reminding about the process and that, the whole slow and steady wins the race, and just breaking down that big long-term goal into small pieces. And so to, create those small little goals like you're mentioning and having it be achievable, doing things like, to Rob's point of just buy one extra frozen grain bowl every week when you go grocery shopping for a few weeks. And then maybe you buy an extra box of granola bars to have in the cupboard, just all those little things. If you do that every week for a bit, all of a sudden you have these backup things. So, and that doesn't require any time in the kitchen either, but you're already shopping. So whether you're doing an online order or going to the store, just add that one thing. It's also not breaking the bank either, because most people, including myself, work with a pretty tight grocery budget. So, that can be something that's helpful too. So finding those small little areas to where you feel that confidence and security that you've got the things on hand. And, oh gosh, it's a crazy day. I missed my lunch, but you know what? I'm prepared. I have something. I have it in my car or my bag. And so that can make a huge difference.
Oh yeah, and the scenario that you mentioned earlier about someone who is maybe not like they wake up, they hardly have breakfast, or they're intermittent fasting, or they're just not eating breakfast, and so the first time they eat, they might have a coffee, but then they don't eat until like noon, and maybe they get too busy with meetings, and then they're just have like a little handful of almonds, but they don't really have a full lunch, and then it's just through the day, and then their cravings are crazy, and it affects their hormones too, like just the roller coaster of different cravings that affect the blood sugars, and the hormones are all like happening. And then that's when you're more likely, like you said, to go through the drive through, or because you are so hungry or hangry by late afternoon. And it's just, I think it's really important that a little bit of a plan for the week ahead, or even just the day ahead, just so that you have things that are available, and that you kind of have an idea of what your day will look like, and when can you eat every like 3 to 4 hours, so that you don't have those major roller coaster rides of blood sugars, and just the feeling of it affects our mood too. There's just so many things that if we're not fueling our bodies well, then it really can impact how we're feeling, and then everyone around us, how they're feeling.
Yeah, right.
You're right. You're right. And you mentioned two things here about hormones and mood, and I like to present the question to clients too, like how do you want to feel? And how is this food choice serving my body? Or how is the decision to skip a meal or wait till later going to serve me? And there is a lot of marketing out there now for women in the menopausal ages of life about hormone fixes and re-regulating and products to help with mood. And while there are true underlying factors and health conditions that can cause us to feel certain ways, sometimes I think just again, with my experience with working with women and listening to eating patterns and type of foods and food beliefs and dieting, a lot of that can be regulated by the way you eat and your food choices. And before you choose one of these very expensive products or plans, are you taking the time to look at how you're fueling through the day and your food choices, and understanding that food first approach can help us just feel better with digestion, and it does regulate our blood sugars through the day. We don't always need that pill or product, and I'm happy to help someone with choosing a supplement if they need it, but that food first approach can really work wonders just by working on it a little bit at a time. And I love when clients come back just even after a few weeks, and the first thing they say is, I'm starting to feel better. Have they met their end goal? No. Have they lost 50 pounds yet? No. But they're just creating a whole new relationship and understanding with food that is so different than what all of us have been brought up to believe. So, if anybody listening is going to take away one thing, I hope it's that of, can you just take a pause and look to understand about food in your body a little bit differently?
But Mindy, the pill's so much easier, right? That's why everybody does it, right? Unfortunately, it's like we want the easy quick fix, the one I read about in the magazine or heard about on late night TV. We want that because I want to feel good by the weekend, and I don't want to do the work, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But you're totally right. There's probably not many people who go the changing their diet route to get the fix, and probably a lot of times that's all they need to do.
You're right. Yeah. And it's, there's so much of that, now more so than ever, of the easy button, because, the fear of being uncomfortable and doing a little extra work. But there's, I'll place the argument there too of we were never taught how to eat and how to treat our body and fuel our body. And so I think it's a combination of the two. And, if I can provide that education, it's up to the individual to work on the taking action, and building that support. But yeah, there's a lot of both for sure.
The funny thing is that the easy button doesn't always work either. You
You're
hear
right.
people, oh, I've tried this diet, I've tried this, I took this, I tried that, and then they come and see you, So it's like,
Yep.
it's false promises.
Mm-hmm.
I heard
Yep.
a recent quote about diets. A diet only works while you're on it. So that's why so many clients I see, and you too, basically come and say, "Oh yeah, I did the keto and it worked." And then, but they're with me, and it was a year ago, and I'm like, "Did it? Did it work?"
Yep.
Because you're back here, or I guess it's just not sustainable. And I mean, a diet only works when you're actually doing it. And so I think it's more about lifestyle. I like your approach. It's more sustainable, and it's just changing habits, and it's just small, like you said, the SMART goals, like just the more actionable, timely, and just small steps. So it's a gradual shift, and it's not necessarily about losing all the weight at once, because the faster you lose weight, the more likely you're going to gain it back. So that's a big downfall with diets too, is they're so restrictive, and they just mess with the mindset, and they mess with psychologically how you view food and the relationship with food. So I love your intuitive eating approach too. And that's why I reached out to you, because I love that you work with people and you help them through all of these barriers and these, it's a struggle. That's why we do this podcast, because it's a minefield out there about what to eat, and there's so many myths, and there's just so much misinformation. So this is I think what you're saying is a similar message to what we say every week, Rob?
It totally is. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Yeah. I love finding others to help reinforce and educate. And I think, a big part of it too is that education of how when we eat, and again, it's okay if you have a specific weight goal, but you can't separate that out from everything, right? So how you eat impacts your brain function and your digestion and your kidney function and your heart health and, your mood for the day. So it's great. Okay. Yeah. If that number on the scale has gone down, but how are you feeling? And how does that impact you for the long term? And I think that's where a lot of people get well, this worked for a little bit, but I don't have any energy, or, and then that whole internal chemistry, and then you're craving things in that cycle, and then it impacts depression. So, look at all that big snowball effect of that decision to restrict and cut back and diet. You're right. It only works until it doesn't.
Well, and how do you define
Absolutely.
works? I mean, losing weight.
Right.
I mean, if I stop eating, I'm going to lose weight, but does that mean that my diet is successful? The rest of my health is going to suffer, but
Exactly.
the number on the scale went down. It's unfortunate that we use that as the determining factor of success when it comes to diets. And I really like how you said that you're sort of, digging a little deeper and finding out what the more underlying causes are for people. And, they want more, they want to feel more alive, or, the things that you said in the beginning there. And those are the real reasons, really. It's not about the number on the scale. That's just a nice side effect, I would say.
Right. Right. And the cool thing is that, earlier on in practice, we would walk past the scale and step on the scale at the beginning of visits when everything was in person. And even for my in-person clients now, we might talk about weight if we talk about it once a month, or some of us, we never talk about it. And it turns into that conversation about how they're feeling through the day and their strategy, and, with their meals. And, one thing I love, an outcome that I always love seeing too and hearing about from clients is, they start doing it and staying true to their goals, and all of a sudden their family's following suit too. And all of a sudden the whole family's in on it and eating better and feeling better. And I even had a woman last week who, came in feeling like, we're doing all this, but I'm still curious about my weight. And I'm like, all right, well, let's check in. And she was down 13 pounds since, I think it was about a month or so. And, it was just, so exciting, but she kind of forgot that that's what we are working on also. And it just, that weight typically will start to just organically come off like that when you're focusing on the big picture instead of just that number.
Totally.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's more sustainable too, I think, because you're making positive changes to your whole life, not just focusing on one element of it.
Yep. That digestion and reducing inflammation and reducing that brain fog, so many great factors.
Absolutely. Yeah. One other thing I know that you help people with, and I think you touched on it earlier, but how do you help your clients review restaurant menus for healthier options?
Typically, we will, yeah, if they have favorite places they go to, or, we're in the middle of February now. I have a lot of clients that are going on cruises. I always say if they can just take me with them, and I'm happy to help them. And nobody's taken me up
Totally.
on that yet. So,
That's right. Just take me with and I'll help monitor your food.
I mean, that would be ideal. I mean, if you want me to go to Florida with you for a week, I'd be happy to. But just need to put that out there. But but really, we can in person, or if we're meeting online, we'll do a screen share and pull up. A lot of restaurants, whether it is a chain or a local, they've got menus posted now. So we'll kind of talk through it and say, I'll ask them, well, what are your preferences, and what do you want? And so if it seems like it might be a little bit more of an indulgent type meal, I try not to talk that client out of it, because many people don't dine out frequently. And so if that's a special occasion, enjoy it and enjoy that food, because that's another reason we should eat, is for enjoyment, not because we feel like we have to, or survival. So that's where I might help them strategize how they eat and fuel the rest of the day, so they can go into that meal with an appropriate hunger and maybe manage how much they eat, so they don't feel like they've overindulged, but they've been able to enjoy something. But, a lot of times we might look at things like I mentioned earlier, like, is it grilled or baked or broiled, or can you ask for sauces on the side? Are there ways to manage the overall nutritional value if you're, trying to manage that? So trying to include vegetables with the meal if possible, rather than just the meat, and get a good variety of nutrients so that you do feel energized but sustained for a period of time. So yeah, we'll walk through and, just kind of talk about what their preferences are and how they're managing the rest of the day. And then again, looking for some of those key words that are going to help them keep their focus or engaged. And it's usually pretty helpful. And, I just had a female client come back from a cruise, and she didn't gain any weight, but she was able to indulge in some different seafood dishes and had her desserts a couple nights. But, she was able to really kind of manage how she was treating the entire day. Where in the past, she probably would have not eaten all day and then just hit up the buffet like it was her last meal. So,
that's wonderful. That is so cool, though, that case study. Just, because that is the trend usually. Like, people, as you said, like, they go on a cruise and they're just, it's all, all you can eat whenever you want all day long. And it's great to see people can go on a cruise and eat kind of reasonably, just like in their daily living, and not feel like it's the Last Supper, and get some walking on the deck or whatever you're going to do for activity, but just kind of go on the cruise to enjoy the experience and the food, but not restrict, but also be kind of like not skipping meals and just eating regularly. And I like that she felt good when she came back. She hadn't gained weight, and she felt that she had a kind of sustainable approach to the buffets and the eating. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I don't know if you get this, Sandra, but it's always kind of creepy, but kind of heartwarming at the same time when people come back, client comes back like, well, your voice was in my head.
Yes.
I can hear you talking to me.
I know, I get that all the time.
Not quite what you want, but whatever works, right?
I say, I'm not the food police. I'm not the food police. Right. I'm not your conscience. I'm just here to help you.
Yeah. That's funny. That's maybe why you don't get invited on the trips, right? Because they don't want you like, no, can't have that. But that's not what you'd be doing. You'd be helpful.
That's not what I'd be doing. Absolutely
that's
not.
Awesome. Yeah. Creepy but heartwarming. That's great. I love it. Oh my goodness. Okay, so one last question, because we like the listeners to kind of get to know you a bit more in terms of your own preferences and what you like, and also we might visit you one day, and then we'd love to have your potluck food. But when asked to a potluck dinner, what dish would you bring to share?
I have a quick funny story to share with that first.
Perfect.
We hosted a summer picnic back by the pool, and it was most of my husband's friends, and everybody said that they would bring something. And, just when everyone was still getting to know me and knew that I was a dietitian, and every single person brought a fruit bowl.
She funny.
That's not a very varied potluck meal, right?
I know. I
Where's the
think they
good
were all
stuff?
afraid they were going to bring the wrong thing or something. So I always think of that when we talk about potlucks and stuff.
That's
That's funny.
hilarious. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah. So I honestly kind of have a little bit of a vague response though. I love food and, it depends on the season and, what's going on. If it's a football game gathering, then maybe it is like a fun dip or I do like to make these little like fun crostinis with cream cheese, like a chive cream cheese and a tomato slice and a little slice of like roast beef on top as an
Fun.
appetizer. That's pretty tasty. Or I don't know. I don't have honestly one thing. I know you kind of prepped me with that question,
That's
and I don't
okay.
have
No,
one thing
that's
I
fine.
take. I like to explore, and
We just want an honest
that's
answer. That's all
yeah,
that's what we're
that's what
looking
I
for.
love about food and entertaining and socializing is that how can it be fun, and is there something new out there, and also I try not to fit that fruit and vegetable mold of a dietitian, so
That's funny.
and really enhance that idea of that food's fun and we're getting together, let's enjoy it, and
Something you said earlier about when you were suggesting some tips for how to get through the week and meal planning and all that. And you mentioned friends all cooking for each other and sharing sort of, each person having a night where everyone comes over. And we used to do that. And it was a Sunday and there was probably, I don't know, sometimes there was 30 people there and everybody
Oh, wow.
brought something. It was a different person's house every week. And whoever showed up, everyone brought food and then the host got to keep all the food, like whatever was left over. And you'd have tons of food, for the
Oh,
week.
cool.
Oh, it was awesome. And it was a social thing, which is always good. It was families with kids and parents and new people sometimes that you got to meet. And it was just a really good idea. And I mean, that sort of goes along with the whole potluck thing too, and you learned some different foods and tried different things. And so, yeah, I really like that idea when you suggested that for just, a way to get through the week is, hook up with
Yeah.
some friends and share the cooking duties and swap food. And
Yeah, and then it's you get that social connection too, and our
exactly.
health and our well-being is about that too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
keeping it
Great
fun.
Oh
idea.
yeah, I like that. Yeah, it is. Eating together is a good big message too around health and nutrition and eating. So if you can eat with people more often, that is good for everyone's health involved. So
Yeah,
I like
so
that.
good for us all.
Yeah. Geez, well,
Yeah.
thanks so much for joining us today. And I know that you have a pretty packed calendar with all your clients and your groups that you're doing. And we're going to definitely link your information in the show notes and also the article. We're going to get that up on the website. And, we really appreciate the time that you've taken to connect with us and give this message out to the listeners.
Oh, I love it. I'm so appreciative of you reaching out to me and connecting, and this was a lot of fun. And let's keep in touch.
Sounds good, Mindy. Yeah.
Definitely.
Thanks for joining us and sharing your ideas with us.
All right, thank you.
Thanks so much. Okay, goodbye.
Take
Bye.
care. Well, that was a whole bunch of good practical ideas.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. Very practical strategies and customization to an individual's weekly and daily schedule.
You know what, though? I mean, really, that's all people need is to make it simple. Things are so complex with nutrition and health that if you just keep it simple, and I think she even said something like that too about, people who've tried all these different things. And she's like, well, have you tried just changing your diet? Instead of trying all these fancy pills and diets and different schemes, have you tried just adjusting your diet?
Yeah,
And
just
like back to the basics,
yeah, adding a few more vegetables, watching the the pop and the sweetened beverages, and trying to just have a few ideas for meals in the week. And that really helps kind of to change the whole plan.
Totally. It totally does.
And just planning ahead, it really helps.
Yeah, you got it. Makes such a difference. And like I said, I think in the episode, and we've said this lots of times, having the right food in your pantry and in your fridge on a regular basis, like just always having those certain staples, the things that you like and the staples that you can throw a quick meal together with, that's so important. Because when you don't have those, that's when you go, okay, well, I guess we're going to eat chips for dinner, or we're going to eat a frozen pizza, or we're going to go to the takeout, or right. That's when you make the bad decisions. And so, yeah, it's good to have those certain things on hand.
Yeah. And so people can look her up. We'll have her website in the show notes, and she's written a nice article for the blog. It's not on there yet, but it will be soon.
That means you just have to keep checking back. And for those that get the newsletter, that's one of the perks. We will let you know when that article is up there. It will be part of the newsletter. So if you haven't signed up for that, you can do that on the website. It's at the bottom of most of the pages on the website. There's a sign up for my newsletter button that you can push, and that will give you access to our weekly newsletter where we'll tell you what's going on, what's coming up, all sorts of things. So
yeah, and we've gotten feedback already on just the last week's food addiction with Dr. Vera Tarman, and people loved it. She was so passionate about her topic, and that article she wrote on the blog is really awesome. So check that out. And that went out in the newsletter last week, along with our nutrition nuggets, the cranberry episode.
Yeah, all sorts of ideas. I bought some today, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Have it in my oatmeal tomorrow with the blueberries.
Yum. So yeah, check that out. Check out our social media pages as well. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We've got lots of things going on there on a pretty regular basis. You can leave comments on those sites too if you want to just say hi to us and let us know what you think of what we're doing. We love hearing feedback and getting your ideas. If you have ideas for the show, things you want to hear about, things you want us to talk about, that sort of thing, feel free to shoot us a message, or like I said, leave a comment on one of those. You can also email us too. That's another way to get hold of us. Our email is mywifetherd@gmail.com, and the website is mywifethedietitian.com.
Yeah, we love hearing some questions from people, good diet and nutrition questions and health and lifestyle. And it really helps to inform the future topics that we're discussing.
Exactly.
And we have some guests lined up coming in the future. So always lots going on.
Yep. And you can hear all about that, like I said, in the newsletter. So make sure you sign up for that. And one last reminder, we'd love it if you can rate and review the show. That's super helpful for us. It's also super helpful for other people that are looking for a really good nutrition show, and they'll read your review and go, oh, Rob and Sandra sound pretty good. We should check theirs out.
Or tell a coworker, a colleague, a friend, a family member. That helps too. If you just tell one other person about it and show them how to access it. I think that's the hard thing when people don't listen to podcasts. It is on YouTube, so that's a way to get to it too.
Yeah, that's kind of the easy button. So whatever works, however you can find it, we appreciate that you guys are joining us every week. It keeps it fun for us. So thank you. All right. Well, I guess that's it for this week. So thank you for joining us. We will be back on Wednesday with our nutrition nuggets. So until then, have a great week, everyone. Thanks for joining us today on My Wife, the Dietitian. If you like what you heard, don't be shy. Leave us a comment or review, and be sure to share our podcast with your friends. If you'd like to hear more, hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on our social media pages for updates, episode trailers, and other odds and ends. For more info and links on what we discussed on today's episode, check the show notes. We'll be back next week with another informative and fun-filled episode.